Hello, I'm your host, TJ is not going to be here. I'm your host, DZ. I forgot my name. We have a major show for you today. XRP ETF is going live. On Bitcoin, we have a death cross, and I have terrible news for VeChain holders. That's right. If you've been holding VeChain, I got some doom and gloom for you folks. But let's look at the charts. Bitcoin doing exactly what we were predicting yesterday. We extended there's basically this liquidity grab. And when we go to the 20-minute candles, you can see right now it is acting as support. It did trade along in this range. I hope you got your longs in. Hope you took profit on those longs. And I hope you didn't round trip back to your entry point here. But Bitcoin, when we zoom out, go to the 1 hour, you can see we have a potential springboard situation. When you look at the RSI, you're seeing some strength in the RSI. And of course, we're going to look at XRP charts as well, but we do want to start with some Bitcoin here. But we are seeing it start to roll over in the larger time frames. 2 hour, not quite, although we are seeing not exactly bullish signs on this one. This one, maybe definitely a hidden divergence. So you could say slightly bullish. And when we go to the 4 hour, you can see Bitcoin, maybe actually looking a little bit bearish. So we're trying to get a little bit more bullish on these larger time frames. But again, when we go to the 5 minute, you can see, maybe we have a little bit of a line in the sand, folks. Now, we got a lot of news to cover. We got to talk about a lot of altcoins. But a lot of the news, of course, is going to relate to XRP. We need to look at XRP. We need to look at the top movers today. And it's not surprising. This is what you see in the crypto markets. You get good news. You go look at the charts. You're expecting CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap to blind you with neon green. You're expecting like, oh my God, it's going to be so bright and profitable. I'm going to have to squint. And then you look and it's red and it's down. Why is that? Well, a lot of it's probably going to be leverage. We're going to look at some liquidation heat maps as well. And I changed clothes because I want to keep you guys guessing, everybody. Do we know about Monad on Coinbase? Only buy through the wallet. I am not sure on the actual mechanisms of purchasing there, but I am interested in what you guys think Monad is going to do. Is it going to pump? Is it going to dump there? XRP ETF now tradable. First hour of volume was $4. Cold. I was like, oh wow, it's already live. No, you tricked me. That was a good one. Trick or treat. I guess I got tricked there. All right, let's hit refresh. Bitcoin down 1.5, ETH down 2.6, but XRP actually does have a green candle. I longed XRP this morning. I turbo longed. We'll look at my entry point. I probably got it in. I was up a little bit. So 7 to 7:30. I did it on a home computer on my Aster profile. I don't have Aster hooked up with my work. So it's in one of those like, oh my God, I'm just like kind of stuck in this trade till I get home later. But BNB's pretty flat. Solana down about 2.5%. Dogecoin doing pretty well. I would say this is what they call the idiot trade in crypto. And I don't mean that despairingly. I'm just, when people come into crypto and they're new, they don't want to buy things that are expensive token wise. So they're going to come in, they're going to open Coinbase for the first time. They heard rumors of an XRP ETF and they, only deposit $1,000, $100. And ask yourself honestly, if you deposited $100 into Coinbase, the first crypto you ever bought, what are the odds you're going to spend that $100 on obtaining a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of Bitcoin versus, I can buy 25 XRP tokens for $100, or I could buy 0.00001% of a Bitcoin. The idiot trade is basically betting on people buying, I'd rather have 25 of a token versus a fraction of a token. And I think Doge, maybe fallen under that umbrella as well. I think Cardano is going to fall under that umbrella as well. And then we started looking at, maybe under $20, under $10, and XLM probably going to fall under that umbrella as well. Let me know, what is your favorite altcoin, say under $5? I know a lot of people are going to be saying, Cardano. A lot of people, XRP. Is going to be a good one as well. So a lot of people are going to be betting on that one. Gray suit with the bald A. All right. So you guys be tricking me with these early chats. I read the beginning of the sentence and then you leave me down to get slaughtered in the alleyway. All right. Looking for the big movers. Quant. It's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Quant was stuck in a parallel range for probably about a year. We look, actually maybe a little bit more. This was like kind of that bear market range. It was just stuck around $100, then fell all the way, kind of wicked down to $50. Now you can see a nice little move here. So if you've been holding Quant, maybe start looking at some exit points on that one. Zcash, regretting closing my Zcash long. We have taken some profit on that. Of course, we did jump in a little early. So if we keep pumping, I'll probably look to trim more exposure to my Zcash portfolio there. XRP coming in as a top 5 gainer. Aptos looking pretty good. And World Liberty Fi, which is interesting because we might start working with the new exchange. I tested it. New exchange. This is something that I did cover about a month ago. They don't have a token yet. Some are calling this the next Aster. Talking about Edge X. Now, this is one I was like, all right, let me start small. I don't even want to put $1,000 on. I think I put $250. I basically had a little dust of stable coin on a Solana wallet. I'm over here at work. I was like, all right, let me go ahead and load it up at work. But I took 2 trades this morning. Oh my gosh. 2 trades. This is Edge X. We're farming for points for an airdrop. And the 2 trades I took, SWE and World Liberty Fi, and both of those are up right now. So good to see World Liberty Fi moving. Still kind of waiting for SWE, still in profit. So we're going to roll that one in. Pump.fun down 10%, Story down, Canton down, Filecoin down, Aster looking like a disaster, and Athena showing a little bit of weakness as well. Tau continuing the streak of red, falling below all the moving averages. But I know you guys are ready for XRP. Smash the like button if you want to talk about XRP. Thank you. Thank you for saying I look sharp. Someone's saying short XRP. Well, you got good news with XRP. So in this environment, it seems like good news is starting to dump the market. Still laughing at your $4 volume comment there. It's almost like no one even cared about XRP, being bearish on XRP there. What difference does this lack of hair make? I like the suit. Well, thank you. Maybe they're just saying it's a color contrast situation there. So maybe that's what's happening. Looks better than black. All right, I'll wear the look. Honestly, I just wanted to keep you guys guessing. There. Did alt season just kick off? I have an altcoin season indicator that's saying you are correct, and it is popping off. Felt like you were the one since he who shall not be named brought you on the stream to host years ago. Love your views and swag. Keep being you indiscriminately. Thank you very much, help desk. And I'm still waiting on that email on that support for that random account that I had years ago. But thank you very much. I had a front row seat to the whole show, and one word to sum it up, sad probably is going to be the word. Honest price prediction for ADA. Will Arrow give me a better return? I had someone reach out to me yesterday. Like, is it over, DZ? What's going on? I got a lot of these older coins, haven't hit previous all-time high. Is it over for ADA? No, I don't think it's over for ADA. The number one thing I would say for ADA is ADA pumps, and it always has hated rallies. So let's go. I'll just show you what happened November of last year. So ADA doesn't need much of a catalyst. Also, ADA is one of the better performing assets if you've held for a year. Maybe the math is a little bit off since we do have the Trump election that just hit 53 weeks ago. So Trump won the election about 53 weeks ago. So if you go to 52 weeks ago, maybe the math is a little bit off, but let me zoom out so I can go to 1 year. You look at the 1 year. Yeah, there we go. Actually, no, it hasn't happened yet. So yeah, Cardano, look how that moved when we got a large narrative shift. 50 cents. Really, it was a little bit more than that. Let's go back a little bit. Look at that. Cardano, this 58 was just the first pausing point. And so this was everybody shorting it. We're in profit, add to the short. Let's liquidate the shorts. Just kept getting liquidated. Cardano went from 32 cents to $1.32, really is where it wicked. So it went from $1.30 to $1.30. Very hated rally. A lot of the other majors did not pull off a 4X. They pulled off a 2X. They pulled off a 3X. They pulled off a 50% pump. So, it is going to pump with the clarity news. That is my prediction. Let's get back. Yeah, look. Someone asked me about Cardano, okay? But let's talk about XRP. ADA looking like the Pepe chart. XRP is the story for today, though. So smash the like button if you've been holding that XRP, or if you want a long XRP, maybe go farm some points there on EdgeX. And I put a link down below. So let's join the team together. Let's get our maximum points. If you join our Aster team, I don't have a link for the Aster, but we have the maximum point multiplier, and we'll probably get the maximum point multiplier on EdgeX. So if you do want to check it out, farm some points, there is a link below. But XRP, Community expecting the first XRP ETF to launch today. This is major, major news. And so they're bracing for the launch of Canary Capital's XRP ETF after NASDAQ certified listing. Now, NASDAQ said yesterday we've notified the SEC that we've received the form that we need, Form 8-A, filing for this Canary XRP ETF. It's called XRPC. Well, it was a better, Canary. I guess that's going to be the best name there. While ETF watchers expect Canary's XRP ETF to debut trading, the SEC has yet to issue the final approval for the trading to happen, to commence, leaving the debut uncertain heading into the market open. So this is a developing story that we are going to be watching. If it happens, if it's breaking, let us know in the chat. Now, Nate Garassi, I don't know why I went a little Espanol there. Nate Garassi, then I went Italian. Nate Garassi. All right, let me just stop doing that. Nate Garassi, he's a wealth management president here. He took to X on Thursday to report that Canary had launched its website for the Canary XRP ETF. So Canary has the website. We have the website pulled up here. Come on. Oh, that may be a good sign. Maybe a good sign. It took a second to load there. Maybe a lot of people looking at this. XRPC Canary XRP ETF, transparent exposure to XRP. Do not Google that phrase. That's probably a bad phrase there. And looking at this, let me hit refresh. Hitting refresh. Nothing on perform. I don't know if it is launched just yet. So we're still waiting. And even if it has launched, it might take a little bit of time for that data to hit their website. Now, other industry observers like Eleanor Terrett shared optimism, noting the NASDAQ had cleared this for launch at market open, with some caution that the exchange's letter was procedural and does not authorize trading just yet. Now, while Bitcoin and ETFs each began trading the day after their respective approval, newer ones like Solana, Litecoin, HBAR launched the very next day. Their exchange listed under the newly adopted procedure. So keep an eye out on this story. Is developing. Some are saying the floodgates are about to open on XRP. Then we're going to go look at some XRP TA. We have some TA we did about a week ago. Maybe it was Monday of this week. So maybe it was like 3 days ago. Maybe it was Friday of last week. But we have some XRP TA that we're going to be covering as well. Would you rock I think you could rock the Kangol hat successfully. Yeah, now we're talking like oh God, who does that most? Samuel Jackson. Yeah, I will rock that. What's his famous line? Get these snakes off my damn plane. I would say, get these bears out my damn timeline. That's what I would say. Yeah, rock the Kangol. LL Cool J, I guess, would be the other one. All right, so the floodgates are open. I actually have the source material for this whole article, so we're not going to get into this whole article. Here's the source material that we're talking about. The floodgates are just the subsequent ETF launches. We have basically a flurry coming. There's a domino, and Canary was the first one. Canary was the canary in the coal mine. XRP holders probably feel like they're in a coal mine. They're breathing toxic fumes. They have black lung, and they have weak coughs. That is your average XRP holder. So here's the timeline. Today, Canary, it is approved. Then we have, a little bit of a timeline here. Could happen on Friday, could happen on Monday. Franklin Templeton. After that, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have Bitwise. Bitwise, also a major player in crypto ETFs. Then we have 2121. Then we have CoinShares. This is going to be on the 20th to 22nd. And then right around Thanksgiving, we have Grayscale. Grayscale coming in towards the end of the month. Don't know on the exact date. I'm looking. When is Thanksgiving? Is Thanksgiving on the 27th? 1, 2, 3, 4 Thursday. So it looks like it's going to be on the 27th. So maybe on the 26th, maybe on the 28th, maybe enough to get a lot of people talking about it. Get that uncle that's bullish on XRP to talk about it. Get, that wealthy cousin, that wealthy, heck, your dad, show your dad on some XRP. Maybe that's what we're going to be seeing here. And we're looking at $1.5 trillion in assets under management, getting direct exposure to XRP within weeks. And the lowest fee is going to be Bitwise. Direct signal that competition has officially begun. So they're going to be fighting for these dollars. And I do think XRP is going to be very favorable by rich retail and just regular retail. And I think rich retail does manifest itself via these Wall Street ETFs. When you think of BlackRock, BlackRock is just essentially, there's some institutional grade stuff with some Chinese quants and, very, very robust team of researchers. But a lot of BlackRock is just going to be a wealthy client holding, $5 million on their platform, $10 million. And so that is, when I say rich retail, I'm talking about that guy, the type. He doesn't like people on his lawn. He has a good lawn. He's probably watching Fox News. Probably has a son that's a little bit of a knucklehead. Yeah, that type of person is what I'm talking about here. Well, let's talk about some TA. Let's get into the price action for XRP. And I'm interested, how do you guys think it's going to perform? Some people are saying XRP will dump on your head. You're talking about escrow wallets. No one can argue with that. If you're talking about Brad Garlinghouse, sure. If you're talking about the price action, you might want to temper those bearish bets. This is a popular token that a lot of people like. XRP is going to $10,000 by that logic. Of course, we say it's never going to go to $10,000. It's not going to go to, $598. It's just not going to happen there. Only 510 bill XRP on exchanges to trade. So maybe seeing a little bit of a supply crunch could be possible here. Swift made XRP mad, and now they're coming with a vengeance. What does that mean? What does that mean? I would say XRP, their first opponent was stablecoins. Stablecoins is the first opponent there. 861. Now we're talking about some price predictions that I can get behind. Guys, like I say, we are in a bear market. There's a lot of interesting data suggesting that, but there's a lot of saying, hey, I don't see it. I don't see it. All right, let's get into the price action. So we did do some previous price action. You remember we threw up 3 different charts. One of them is a long-term chart. That's going to be this cup and handle. We're not going to so much talk about that. This is, I guess we could go ahead, run it back. We'll run it back. Was it this line? I think it was this line right here. No, this was, okay, because we're on a log chart. Let's do this. So we have potential targets and the cup and handle breakout. I mean, we have 2 ways of measuring this. You can say breakout from the handle, breakout from the cup line. And so the handle breakout really isn't that bullish, if we're just being honest here. New all-time high, 444. Okay, I feel like an NFL quarterback. 444, blue 42. Really, I'm looking at that green 566. 566. All right, so that's number 1. That's more of a long-term situation here. Let's do some of these short-term ones here. First, we got the parallel channel, not the long-term one. This is one we have been watching for a long time. We got the short-term parallel channel. So let's zoom in on this one. We'll look at the other short-term price action. This is pretty interesting on the 4-hour chart, isn't it here? So this is, if you recall, I think it was probably around the 2nd of November. I think we first drew this out. So keep an eye out on this one. Came down, tested this beautifully. Now, it did kind of smash through this halfway point. If we go to the 1 hour, I mean, I guess you can see there's a little, there's a decent amount of price action around this area. Came back down, decent amount of price action on this area. Go back to the 4 hour. You can't see it quite as much there, but a little bit of a pause on the way up, more so of a pause on the way down. Definitely knocking on the door on the way up again. And now we're coming back down, and this is what it looks like. So we go to the 25-minute candle, and this is where I would want to put in a long. This, low leverage. I mean, maybe go 50x. Don't go 50x, obviously. We're just joking here. But 5x, 3x, 8x, something like that. It's pretty tight stop loss. Maybe you want to, if we lose this support area, maybe want to go ahead and close that trade. Probably going to come back down and sweep this liquidity level. Would not want to add to the trade that entire move, or maybe want to enter in around that and move there. And if you look, it does look like there's a lot of price action around this range, this 235 range, this 230 range, somewhere around in that range. Right now, I would say let's go really, really small time frame. We're seeing hidden divergence. We definitely need this to turn around on the 5-minute. We go to the 3-minute. We are starting to see it turn around on the 3-minute. If we go back to the 5-minute, this candle ends in 3 minutes and 33 seconds. So, watch this to see if it does curve over. That might give you a little potential area of entry. And as a bunch of buy orders start loading up around here, it will not want to touch it. It's like someone, touching the bog of eternal stench, or touching the poison water that's in Harry Potter that makes Dumbledore all sick. It might not want to touch that level. It'll put a little stink on the finger there. I don't know why I say things like that. And going back here, zooming out, let's go back to the 30-minute. Let's go to the 30-minute. Yeah, this is maybe even a starting to form some interesting patterns here. So we might come back, check in on XRP and see how it behaves with this midway point. I think we got one more chart here. That was the parallel channel. Let's go back to the 1 hour. And then we got the fibs. The fibs, everybody. The Fibonacci activity here has been listening to this, has been respecting the 236, I believe, is this red line. Yeah, the red line's the 236. We also got the 382. So if we can clear the 236, pretty good shot at hitting the 382. This is going to be a hurdle. We gotta pass this liquidity zone, especially like this. I mean, now maybe you got a trend line that coincides. We might have some convergence here. This is definitely, I would say, acting as a magnet. No guarantee. No guarantee is going to head to this level, obviously. This is what I'm liking here. I was going to look for the magnet. I don't feel like doing all that. But keep an eye out on this range. And if you are in a trade, this is where I like taking profit. So on the bear side, people get too greedy. Everybody starts longing. Jed McCaleb dumps 200 million XRP worth $450 million. Keep an eye out on this range, and that's going to be around 220. So there's your little XRP TA. We got a little bit. Then we'll talk about the government shutdown here and its effect on crypto. I think CoAI can run up again after its crash. Well, we did talk about the profit strategy. I hope you were taking profits. We told you about it like $6 and went to $20. Now, it happened very quickly. Can it go back? It's a scam. So I don't know if the scammers are going to want to run it up. Can it? Of course, because the whole thing was just a scam. It was clearly a scam there. Would you rock a red beret, or is that too artsy? I need a clove cigarette if I'm rocking a red beret. So to me, I was never a drama kid. Never hung out under the stairs at lunch with the drama dorks, you know, painting the fingernails, dyeing the hair black, maybe adding some patches to the clothes. Never did that. So would I rock it? I would do it comically, but I wouldn't do it seriously. I would do Sloofy's red hat. I would do that hat before I would do that. Like kissing. Don't talk about Isaac's mom in the chat there. Altcoin looking good these days. As good as a coin called Fartcoin can do, I would say yes. I love shorting XRP. Is the easiest money in the market. That man is coming after the XRP bulls' heart right there. Nice labyrinth ref. Yeah, man. David Bowie, contact juggling. That was something I wanted to learn when I was younger there. Let's see here. Drew can definitely do the red beret. Yeah, he could also join Curtis Sealwah's task force that's policing Brooklyn sidewalks. But let's get back into crypto here. I would want Drew to protect my neighborhood. He probably does. We live in the same small town outside of Atlanta. I don't want to like dox him any more than maybe he has. But we have sometimes I look out my window. I think I see him. But let's talk about the shutdown. Lightning strikes. His cloak is flowing in the wind. He's holding his... Anyways, U.S. shutdown ends. Crypto progress resumes as Trump signed the bill. So what finally happened here? So he signed off on the funding bill, passed by the House, officially bringing to an end the record 43-day government shutdown. It went through the Senate on Monday, to the House on Wednesday, and then Trump signed it late last night. Healthcare funding was one of the sticking points that halted the bill, with Democrats pushing to increase the support, while Republicans sought to address the issue after the bill had passed. After signing it, he indicated he may be willing to work with the Democrats to iron out these issues. First, they need to iron out John Fetterman's clothing. They got to do Fetterman's clothing there. Here he is signing it. That is, they look like Nancy Pelosi's great-granddaughter, probably 50 years old. There we have Mike Johnson. Not sure who that looks. Why does it look like a Chad Powell? Like Powell with testosterone pouring through his veins. It was like a Chad Powell behind him. The reopening of the government will see staff return to crypto-related agencies. So what does this mean for crypto? Staff goes back to the SEC. Staff's going back to the CFTC. Recall, they were operating on a skeleton crew. They were operating like Caruso's bad guys and Karate Kid. Okay, they all wore skeleton Halloween suits. Now the Treasury should now be positioned to sift through the public feedback on the Genius Act, which was compiled between October and the start of November. Despite this, the markets are flat to the end of the government shutdown, with Bitcoin price action being minimal. In past instances, the resumption of the U.S. government has led to major rallies. Now, if you watched our video, I covered exactly what happens. It isn't an immediate rally. There is a pause. How long that pause is, how long you need to wait, go watch the video for sure. pulling it up right here. Let me see. Videos. I think it's just like really, yeah, government shutdown ends. Bitcoin will do this now. Yeah. So I break it down. If you watch that, we gave you the blueprint a week ago. This level decides. And then we got another one that we did more on the immediate price action. Come on, you dork, get out of here. Yeah, trading view. It's awesome. Cool. We love it. Let's see here. I'm just kind of skipping, talking about the liquidity level. 112 is going to be a serious range. Oh, the falling wedge. The falling wedge. Is the falling wedge still in play? Let's go look at Bitcoin here. Go to the falling wedge. Does look like it's still in play. Falling wedges, of course, are bullish signals. So this might be a potential target for a bear target. Like we might come down here and this isn't going to be good. This is basically a bearish sign for Bitcoin, especially if we kind of, depending on how you want to play with it, you could say rejected off that zone. Falling wedges are traditionally bullish signals. The sellers, you can see how this line falls less steeply than this line. That indicates that the sellers are running out of exhaustion. They're trying to push it down, and they're able to push it down a little bit less each time. It's kind of like a beach ball pushing it out of the water. They're running out of strength. Their arms are turning into noodles. Pretty soon, typically, not every time, 72%, 78%, I'm not sure the exact percentage there, it will break to the upside. That beach ball will head to the upside there. Now, speaking of Bitcoin, we have another scary signal, death cross. We do have the death cross. But what's the good news about the death cross? So Ash Crypto pointed this out. Last 3 death crosses mark the bottom within a week. So in a uptrend, you can get death crosses that turn bullish because you're still in an uptrend. In a downtrend, it's over. Bitcoin's falling 60%. So I do want to clarify with that. I'm not saying death crosses are bullish signals. In an uptrend, a death cross is typically a bottom signal in this Bitcoin market. So Bitcoin pumped to new all-time highs every single time after the fact. And you can see it right here. Let me get rid of this trend line. Get rid of this trend line. We'll keep the triangle there. This is the death cross. We're looking at this 50-day moving average, potentially about to cross this 200-day moving average. You see it hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting for this. Just to double check, we do want to check. You might be using EMA versus my SMA. And so you can see, basically really, really close. Kissed it. And then it was a nice little bounce right here. Kissed it. That was also, the bottom was behind it. So if it happens here, maybe the bottom will be behind it. So maybe that wick down to 98K was the bottom for Bitcoin. If your stream is cutting out, maybe hit refresh. I'm blaming you. I'm blaming your cable company. It was their fault. Does anyone know? Let's see. We're dumping hard again. We're so cooked. We're cooked. It's over. Ooh. But how about our purple triangle holding strong, everybody? Our purple triangle is holding strong. So hopefully you got in on that one. Inverse golden. There you go. See, everything is perspective. If you look at it under that perspective, hey, man, still pretty bullish. Still pretty bullish. Let's check in on the trades. Still green. Okay, we're still in the green. If I wasn't live, I'd be probably closing those trades if I'm just going to be honest with you guys. But I'm live. I want to give you good entertainment. I want to give you impactful show. I don't want to sit here and zoom in on charts and be all quiet and you can see my shiny forehead. I hate those types of streams. Looking at the realized price in the 200-day simple moving average, you can see we are below the simple moving average. Let's looking at that one as well. This is the EMA exponential moving average. Looking at the SMA, the simple moving average. That's just the weight of all 200 prior days. Exponential moving average adds extra validity, extra juice, extra weight to the more recent days relative to the long ago days. Sorry to get a little technical there. But yeah, we are below this, and he has a pretty scary prediction. You read his post here. When we break below the 200-day SMA, it usually falls to its realized price. Currently, realized price, $56,000. Do I think Bitcoin's going to 56? I would not say that. But that is just a sign you do need to take in bearish news. In addition to bullish news, you can't just create an echo chamber of bullishness because then that's when you're going to round trip. That's not, a way to take profits. That's a way to lose your money there. And so realized price, you don't know what that means. It's just the price that Bitcoin last traded at. So you add that all up. that gives you that. All right, tech dev. Business cycle is what we looked at the beginning of November. He said his business cycle phase is coming to an end. Now he has another one. This is big business cycle signal. Now I asked the difference. I actually went into ChatGPT. I was like, what is the difference between these two signals? Didn't really get too much info. It's really just one signal specific overlay. The other one's, kind of trending. They're basically kind of looking at the same stuff, but business cycle signal for him has flipped. This is a bullish sign per tech dev. We open this in a new tab so you can see the years on the bottom there. Okay, come on. Work with me, not against me. Work with me here. Okay, it doesn't want to do sometimes. Oh, yeah. I got to do it this way. Act like you've used X before. All right, so this is 2020, found that bottom. 2016 found that bottom. It's not saying it's a bear market bottom. It's just that pre-parabolic before we head into the parabolic rally. So tech dev's business cycle signal is saying we are about to hit we are about to hit the parabola. We are about to get super, super bullish for crypto, for your altcoins. Everything is about to pump. Is this a foolproof indicator? I mean, it's 2 for 2, and hopefully it's going to go 3 for 3. So that's what we're betting on, folks. That's tech dev's indicator there. Crypto are not investments. Get in, get out. H-bar was 56 cents 4 years ago. You'd be down 70 cents. I would say Bitcoin is an investment. Bitcoin would fall under that category to me. Altcoins, I would say a speculative investment is an investment, but I understand your rationale there. They are short-term trades, and your definition of investment means something you could walk away for 5 years and come back to. Not many altcoins are going to fall under that radar there. I'm on ramen noodle package number 44. I go to Costco, so I got like 800 things of ramen. When I find a good one and it starts to run out, I'll FOMO and I'll get like 3 boxes of that thing. 48 times 3. Yeah, you're looking at what, 146 right there. Yeah, I'll go nuts. 144. Let's go get that link price to $80 so I can buy an island. This man has more than 2.3 chain link. All right, are the people calling a bear market just assuming retail won't show up? What actually gets them back in? Some say, here's the key question. Some say retail is the key driver for a bull market. Others say retail does not matter for a bull market. What do you think, chat? I'm curious. Do you think we need retail to have that bull market, to have that altcoin pump, your altcoin pump? Some are saying retail is necessary. Some are saying it is not necessary. Do we need retail? You look at Google Trends, you look at, that Thanksgiving dinner conversation, you're not really seeing retail. Some are saying we definitely need retail. Retail needed for the blow off top. We do not need it. Let's see here. Yes, we do need it. Not necessary. We need the stimmies. That's a pretty good one there. When the daily vlogs with me wearing the 360 camera, you talk about like I went into Brazil's most ghetto favela and I walked the streets at 11 p.m. I used to love those videos, but they all like trend to, all right, I'm walking to the red light district, and you're like, okay, then it puts you in a weird algorithm. So I had to quit watching those videos. I like it when they approach the card sharks and the scammers, and they, and sometimes things get a little heated. Those are going to be mine. What do I think about the X402 protocol? So X402 protocol is basically kind of like a crypto version of ISO 222, and by that I mean a common framework, And so this is going to be, let's see here. Let me type it in real quick and see, because there are projects, there's ways to get exposure here. So I haven't had time to vet this, but it's AI-driven crypto trading is projected to handle 20 trillion. They're building. Okay, so this is just a random thing. Is messaging for AI more specifically, to be clear. It is getting that network adoption, or is hitting that stride where it's becoming big enough where you kind of have to adopt it. I would say like Chainlink or like Ethereum. Standard development kits by Python and Java is definitely going to be very good. Essentially, you could put it all over Solana. Being on Base is also going to be very good. I would say I'm bullish. I mean, seeing Google, Visa, that's kind of what we were talking about before when we first covered it. Circle and Stripe, I kind of remember that. Virtuals, Cloudflare. I mean, Cloudflare is actually pretty big as well. There is opportunity here. Careful chasing the tail end of a hype cycle. want to get in early, but I am bullish on that. I am bullish. Let's talk about back to Bitcoin here. Then we'll talk about ETH and some altcoins. Second largest whale accumulation failed to push past 106. And so the whales is the second largest weekly accumulation of the year. Long-term holders, however, continuing to sell. What's happening here? Long-term holders are old whales selling to new whales. But now the new whales, these are people holding 1,000 Bitcoin or more, initiated the most significant accumulation wave of the year. It's amid a sharp decline in Bitcoin's price. 1,000 Bitcoin's $100 million. We're talking about a lot of money. In the last week, whales accumulated 45,000 Bitcoin. Let's look at it on a chart. There's a chart right there. I did pull it out. I just want to make sure I have nothing else. Right here, largest accumulation was in March. And if you look, that was right after a bottom, and then we wicked a little bit lower. And so if you look, we're heavy accumulation right after a bottom. Last time we wicked a little bit lower. We look at the other big accumulation phase, the number 3, I guess you could count that as number 3, but it's so narrow. We're really going to say this one's number 3 because you add up all the days. This is the largest probably weekly accumulation. So the number 3 weekly accumulation, they're buying during a dip. Guess what? It did wick a little bit lower, but there was a nice pump. Subsequently, another pump there, another pump there. You look right here, we dipped, gigantic mega pump. This is suggesting we are going to pump. Maybe we get another little liquidity grab down low, freak people out. Then after that, it is looking very bullish when you're just looking at a lot of these indicators here. Hey, I don't want to get off topic. Well, it's all right. I just want to give you some support. You took my sister's sourdough class. You're the best. We love what you do. Yes. Doomsday Benny. That means or at least your sister. Yeah, we're pretty local. Yeah, me and my wife went. And my wife went to her sourdough pasta making class. Now we're a little going off the rails here. My wife took the sourdough pasta making class, was the only student, and got a hands-on session with your sister there. So that is super cool. And I've been enjoying the hell out of that sourdough, enjoying the hell out of that pasta. And we made sourdough chocolate chip cookies yesterday. They were delicious. My wife is like literally the best cook. So 43 days of no job market info. Let me add color to that, Xavier. There are 43 days of no job market info, according to like a release from this governmental agency. But Powell has indicated with his own words, we are using every available tool for data accumulation to decide what to do with interest rates. And so they do have these skeleton crews. These skeleton crews, they're not doing the big press release where, we factor in all the numbers, but they are still looking at numbers. And so what they're relying on is no government information, but they're relying heavily on private information. So we're not getting job market info from a governmental agency, but BlackRock's still getting government or job data. ADP is still giving job data, and people are collecting and trading on this jobs data. We're just not getting it from specific governmental agencies is all. Let's see. All right, don't be nasty. Look, did they do some sort of thing like Ghost and they made the clay pottery? I don't think so. Hope not. Let's see. Sourdough starting doomsday. I mean, I want to get to a homestead. I want to be like Jason Casper. All right, a man with a wife that can cook, even without a recipe, is a blessed man. Yeah. Bless all the married folks out there. Hit that like button there. And if you're not married, we'll get you there if you want. All right. I went to a hands-on class once. Why I feel like this is going to go bad. Went to a hands-on class once. I didn't think they could place a restraining order if I paid it. Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's move on. I could tell by the setup you're trying to walk me down in a little alleyway there. Let's talk about quantum, and then we're going to go into an insane arrest video of a Chinese scammer, elderly lady who stole. We covered the story yesterday. We have the arrest video. We have the body cam footage, and I mean they kick her door in. It's like the FBI open up meme. So we're gonna watch that, and then we're gonna talk about your altcoin specifically here. Third time's a charm. They always say when it's 3, it's high school, younger, Asian. That's what they say. I don't know. Someone old told me that one time. All right, let's talk about this quantum threat though. So IBM claims quantum computers are near And they said, we're going to get quantum advantage by 26. We'll tell you what that means. And fault tolerant systems by 2029 with these new processors and faster error correction. And they debuted this at the Quantum Developer Conference yesterday. Now, quantum advantage, this just means the point in which quantum computers can be better than a classic supercomputer. Why does this matter for Bitcoin? Quantum computing and Bitcoin. While quantum computing is in its early stages, its potential to one day break the encryption securing Bitcoin and other crypto using proof of work algorithms become one of the most widely discussed issues in the crypto space. I don't care about quantum against POW chains. I'll tell you the real quantum threat. And I told you guys last month, I just mentioned it briefly though. I think some of you probably remember what I was talking about though. We have someone from Borderless Capital. They said quantum computers are expected to pose significant security risks by the end of the decade. So we got like 5 years. Charles Edwards, he's running Capriol Investments. He views the threat much more immediate. If Bitcoin doesn't solve this in the next year, gold, the shiny yellow metal, is going to keep outperforming Bitcoin forever. Now, also in November, Willy Woo said Bitcoin holders, this is where we're going to go into the a small but very important specific when it comes to Bitcoin versus quantum computers. Now, Willy Woo said Bitcoin holders can protect themselves against quantum computing by transferring their coins to a SegWit compatible address. What does it mean to say you're safe if you transfer your coins to a SegWit compatible address and holding until quantum resistant solution is created? Basically, he's saying old Bitcoin wallets do not use SegWit compatible addresses. And it's bad because the non-SegWit compatible addresses have a quantum threat. The quantum threat isn't SHA-256. Don't type in SHA-256. I will ban you if you hit SHA-256. I'm not going to hit the noise. Now, all right, so let's talk about what it means. Quantum. All right, so basically old wallets, the reason old wallets are in trouble is because of a thing called elliptical curve cryptography. And so I thought about like doing, here's kind of what it means. Explain like I'm 5. Go to trigonometry, algebra 3. Go to algebra 3 if you want to learn this. But will quantum affect elliptical curve cryptography, which is used in the non-SegWit wallets, the older wallets. The older wallets use ECC. Why is ECC bad? Because quantum will break ECC, aka Satoshi's wallets. That's right. Satoshi's wallets, his Bitcoin, is at threat, and it needs to move or Bitcoin needs to fork. Something seriously needs to happen here. ECC relies on this discrete log problem. I really want to kind of explain it, but I'm not going to. Elliptical curve cryptography, it's like if say 1 plus X or 1 times X gives you a number and you do it like 80 million times, it's harder to work backwards from that. It's like you're trying to guess what the number you'd have to divide it, then you'd have to divide by, you'd have to know is divided by 1 million times. That was a bad explanation, but quantum computing can solve basically private keys. If you have a public key, Satoshi's old wallets, the public keys are known. That's how they know it's Satoshi's wallets. And so this is something to pay attention to, not today, but eventually, folks. This is going to be a major, major story. And yeah, I know it looks like a snuff. It's not, okay? We're going to, that is the arrest video. All right, so let's go ahead and let's share that. I'm interested. You guys, is that something you guys are worried about? You're probably not worried about it, but it is something to worry about in the future here. All right, let's see here. Now we're going to do the crazy police kicking down the door of this Bitcoin scammer. All right, okay. Well, our 6-7, ha 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 ha. All right, okay, you pass it. Pretty much all current public key cryptography. Yeah, there's a lot of things using this here. A lot of things. Let's see. Ben Key. I'd have to check in on it. Gold will always. Let's see. Would you buy in a? We have a super chat here. Let's see here. So we gave you the ADA price prediction. Got the Kangol hat. X402 Co-AI. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Thank you for the sourdough support again. Would you buy an Italian startup's new suppository style wallet, aptly named Innuendo? I would rather shove a diamond up there before I shove a. All right, look, I'll shove it up there. I'll do it sideways, but I'm testing on you first. How's that sound? Huh? How's that sound? All right, this is breaking body cam footage. Captures a quiet but unmistakable moment as officers move in on a Chinese woman tied to $6 billion Bitcoin criminal activity. Investigators say she pulled in more than 128,000 victims in China through a Ponzi scheme that grew far beyond anything that it looked like on surface. The arrest feels almost like understated compared to the scale of the case. She's now looking at 11 years in prison. What happened? So she had a Ponzi scheme, basically crazy returns. We're going to give you crazy returns. And the early customers did have crazy returns, but she was using the later customers to pay the early customers and keeping that going. The Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, the classic Ponzi. But then payouts, they stopped like they always do. And so that's when investigators started to look at her. Well, at that point, she moved that cash to Bitcoin and then fled China. She fled China. She travels around Asia. She ends up in the UK. She has a fake passport. She has a fake name. This woman's going out. She's spending millions. She spent millions on mansions, jewelry, all types of activities. However, she had 23, if I'm not mistaken, a $20 million mansion purchase got flagged. They slowed her down. They said, wait, who is this? Let's do a little AML. Let's actually do what we charge Binance to do in the US. So doing that, she failed the identity verification, if you will. And so then that got reported. That got reported up the chain. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, wait a minute. Something shady is going on here. Saw that she's spending all this money. Lo and behold, it's the Chinese Bitcoin scammer, allegedly. Now let's watch this video. This is not long. It's going to start with them kicking in her door, waving the 4-4. This is going to be a good one here. All right.
Police!
Police!
Where you are? Yeah, come on.
All right, it's blurry because it has their faces. They have a Cantonese. Maybe it's Mandarin. I'm not gonna pretend to know the difference here.
Rule, please.
Zimin, do you speak English?
Her English is very bad now. I'm guessing that English is gonna all of a sudden be like, no, hable. I know that's Spanish, but very anticlimactic ending there. You know, you're expecting someone to kind of look like the more traditional scammer. You don't expect it to look like someone's auntie. You know, someone's auntie that was just making dumplings earlier. She just seems like a nice lady. It's not the lady you would think that would steal billions of dollars in Bitcoin. In her defense, okay, see that's good. Okay. All right. So interesting stuff there. Now let's talk about ETH. This is nuts. We're going to talk about some altcoins now. Your altcoin specifically. ETH supply on exchanges is vanishing. For the first time in history, there's now less ETH on exchanges than Bitcoin. First off, I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like it passes the sniff test. It didn't, but this is kind of true. By a percentage, there's less ETH on exchanges relative to Bitcoin when you're looking at percentage of the supply. And ETH is being withdrawn at a faster rate than Bitcoin. ETH is becoming the most scarce asset in crypto. I have many arguments with Johnny about the definition of scarce, but soon there will not be enough ETH to go around. When you look at the chart, yeah, I mean, by a percentage balance on exchanges, Bitcoin's fairly steady, fairly consistent. You know, wicked up to 18, kind of hung around 16. Now it's kind of heading to 14. ETH went from 28 to 10 almost, or is heading that way. This is very, very, very bullish for ETH. And then it reminds me of the news that we covered a month ago. We have Palantir founder Peter Thiel. Some would say the guy knows things and is in the circles and is obviously very intelligent. He's like bearish on Bitcoin and betting heavily on ETH. So we might see some of those like ETH BTC charts, might see a little bit of a reckoning there, folks. Might definitely see a reckoning. This is just a funny story. Michael Burry, he's going to close down his hedge fund by year end after acknowledging he doesn't understand today's market. My estimation of value in securities is not now and has not been for some time in sync with the markets. That is a fancy way of saying, man, I keep being wrong and I keep losing money. So I'm just going to stop trading, freaking park it in like a S&P 500 mutual index or something there. So Michael Burry basically says, I don't understand today's market. I'm just out there losing. And this is just a great breakdown by Mac and BTC here. Being a bear never works out long term. The whole system is broken and made to go up only in the long run. Remember this, folks. They're never going to stop printing money. Assets are always going to bleed up. Gold, Bitcoin, real estate, stocks, quality. These things are it's just the new, just long term is heading up, folks. Long term is heading up. This is pretty interesting. We talked about Zcash's digital asset treasury yesterday. Were you guys aware they halted trading on this thing? They had to halt trading. I like this. This is from the Winklevi. Volatility halt. They are trying to hold us back. Demand was so intense they had to halt trading twice. It's a good sign for this digital asset treasury. Gives them room to market buy quite a bit of Zcash. I don't know about trillions, but dang, what if it does go to trillions? I'll regret selling my 20%, 30% for profit there. Aave, RWA, their Horizons thing is starting to come online. I went to RWA XYZ this morning. They don't have a breakdown of their assets. It just basically says stablecoin full. That's kind of what it is. It's just a different basket of different stablecoins. So there's really no like altcoin project to invest in off of this Aave news, unless you want to buy a stablecoin, which probably most of you do not have enough stablecoin. A lot of everybody's portfolio should be like 10% stablecoin right now. Is mine? Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. This is pretty funny. Aerodrome, I feel bad for you. Uniswap, I don't think about you at all. That's basically sums up Aerodrome right there, but we are bullish on Aerodrome. This is something I'm bearish on, though. This man's eyebrows. No, I'm just kidding. Neon. Neon has a token. Do not buy this if you're expecting long-term profits. If you're a trencher and you're like watching DEX tools and watching the charts and looking at volume and you're going to scalp and you plan on holding the token less than 20 minutes, feel free to play that casino. I'm going to stay away from that casino, but this might be some more drama to unfold. I would stay away from Neon Altcoin there. It's a good name. He has a good name, but I think you need a lot more. This is pretty crazy. 16 major blockchains can freeze your funds. Now, we all know Tether can freeze their funds. Circle can freeze, they can freeze a stable coin in your wallet. But now we're talking about entire blockchains. This is after an internal audit. Several top 20 networks by market cap allows validators or the core devs to halt transactions at will. What are the chains? Let's look at them here. Reasonability, Chiliz, VIC, XDC, BNB, and VeChain. Remember, folks, I got some terrible news for VeChain here. Potential freezing ability here. Atom, Celestia, let's see here. DYDX, Mantra, Luna, Say, OKB. All right, something to maybe pay attention to, folks. Pay attention to. Now, gold is starting to pick up a little bit again. I had no idea Tether was buying this much gold. So their holdings hit 12 billion in September. You think about it, you're like, okay, well, it was like 9 billion before. You don't really think about it too much. But in a quarter, they got 104 tons. Okay. So when you do the math, they are basically, I want to say this is very, very, all right. So their holdings have doubled since the beginning of the year. You're looking at a ton a week. All right. They're averaging more than 1 ton of gold per week in 2025. It's one of the biggest buyers in the global market. Gold might not be done running. I know there's a lot of smart traders that I follow that are suggesting $6,000. Crypto Face, suggested $6,000. We did take a little bit of profit on gold options, but still holding the silver options, and these things might start running. Now, the bad news bad news for VeChain. It's right here. UFC to debut fan prediction scoreboard in a poly market deal. So the main, I don't want to say the main, someone's going to get mad at me. Now, fuck that. The main buying pressure for VeChain was it's UFC's coin. Dana White has publicly stated it's the only crypto I hold. That to me was the most bullish thing about VeChain. You see it on the Octagon. Dana White's bullish. Okay, that gives you a little bit of credibility. But now they're partnering. TK Group Holdings. That's the it's basically an Israeli investment company. They're the ones that own UFC and this other boxing company, Zuffa Boxing here. And so they're going to have fan prediction scoreboards during UFC broadcasts, visualizing how the fans forecast each fight. This is super bullish for Poly Market, super bullish for Polygon. And I would say this is some of the best news Polygon has gotten in a long time. Probably the most bullish thing Polygon's had since Poly Market predicted the 2024 presidential election, like exactly. This is going to bring a lot of attention to Polygon. And I think there's going to be some number of UFC fans that have some like crypto.com account, maybe it's on Coinbase. They're going to have like all this Zcash, or I'm sorry, they're going to have all this freaking VeChain, and they're going to be like, damn, I bought this and I'm like down 30%. Maybe I'll buy that Polygon. So not exactly great news there. Not exactly great news. Button down your collar. Never. Now, I got a screwed up hand. You could probably see the scar. My dexterity on the small collar buttons is quite weak. It's quite weak. I'm just trying to go live. Thoughts on Linea? It's kind of bullish. It's just too crowded. I don't want to say too crowded, but it's in this like basically a competitive field. And it does seem like the VCs cash out those coins pretty quickly. We go to their X account here. 100% ETH, the best chain for ETH capital. It's just so crowded. It's so crowded. We're fighting for the DeFi. We're fighting for the stable coins. We're fighting for the institutions on Ethereum. Everybody is. So it's just so competitive. That's the only downside I would say to that one. Let's see here. What else do we got? Solana is going to 140. Pretty possible. Tether have a gold backed token. Yes, they do. Like gold is XAU. I want to say it's like XAUT, or maybe it's TXAU. It's one of those. Texas, Australia. Dana White just sold his VeChain 4 days ago. Are you for real? Hey, maybe you're joking. If that's true though, he probably did. He honestly probably did. And he probably just bought a bunch of Polygon, and then some Theo Vaughn is going to ask him like, hey man, what do you think about Bitcoin? He's like, Polygon's the only altcoin that I hold, or only crypto I hold. Can we just get back to this time last year? Oh yeah, the presidential pump was in, and we had about 2 weeks of just insanely bullish action, 3 weeks of insane action. Yeah, it was a good time. XAUT, thank you very much there. Dreamula, no one's looking at a chart. I'm looking at the chart every day. I go to sleep, my eyelids, it's burned in with a chart there. Let's see. About Dana White, what else do they have? Hey, it's a logistics blockchain, VeChain, and logistic blockchains need PFP NFTs. You didn't know that? I remember VeChain's narrative 5-7 years ago was like, Amazon warehouses are going to need it because how else will the box of socks find its way to your driveway? I feel like crypto company buying massive amount of gold is bearish, and they know something. So they buy a lot of Bitcoin and they buy a little bit of gold. So maybe that can change your opinion there a little bit. Now, if they bought 0 Bitcoin and nothing but gold, yeah, that's bearish for Bitcoin for sure. XRP fighting the bears. All right, we'll end with some charts here. First thing we'll look at Bitcoin. We'll look at XRP. Bitcoin right now. Oh, it's not super. Oh, that's 4 hours. Uh-oh. Oh my God, I could tell already. Okay. We lost the range, and we just came down and swept these lows. So nothing super crazy. And if we look at XRP, remember XRP ETF live, bullish. Are you ready? Are you ready for the dump? I'll be honest. I was surprised it was green when I showed you guys at the top of the show because I hadn't checked it yet. I didn't sort by gainers, losers, whatever. I was expecting XRP to be in the red 24 hours. And it finally came true. All right, everybody, smash that like button on the way out. We're going to be putting out an XRP video tonight. Probably kind of cover some price action, cover the flows if that data is in yet. I probably can't record it too late so we can get it to the editor, but I'll record late as possible to have the maximum amount of info. Folks, I will see you guys in the future. Smash that like button on the way out. It's always a great time when we can hang out. I really do appreciate it. And we have links down below if you want to check out any of the things we've been talking about.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.